My name is Daniel Kampsen, and I'm an academic advisor at Ohio University. I'm spending the summer here working with Education USA, American Councils in Lithuania, especially with the Competitive College Club, but also doing some other stuff like this. So as we were working this summer, we've talked a little bit about the SAT and choosing a college. And one of the big parts about going to school in America is being able to perform your assignments and do quality work. And one of the big issues with that a lot of times with international students is academic honesty and plagiarism. So I'm going to spend maybe a half hour today talking about these two issues. And hopefully I can impart some knowledge into you guys that maybe you haven't quite heard before. So first things first, what is plagiarism? So basically what we're talking about is, to make it as simple as possible, presenting someone else's work as your own. At American colleges and universities, this is very serious and is considered cheating. Plagiarized material, it can be drawn from really anywhere. It can be from the internet. It can be something you heard on a television show, something you read in a book. And the basic thing to remember about it is that when you use someone else's material, wherever it came from, you have to cite it. And by cite, what I mean is record within your report or within your document where that information came from. And I'll talk a little bit more about citation later on. So for plagiarism, every country, every culture has their own ways of defining and dealing with plagiarism. In the American context, what we're kind of talking about here is when you're doing research, it's very important to use other people's ideas when you're writing and when you're trying to prove something. We value that. But the thing about it is, when you're doing this, you must always acknowledge the source of where those words came from. And generally speaking, this acknowledgement will be done in the form of university, departmental, professor even guidelines. So generally speaking, your professor, your class, your university will give you guidelines for how to cite. So it's not like you'll be out there not knowing what to do. You'll have some direction, but you'll still have to be the one who does this. And it's very important to understand that at American colleges and universities, failure to do this almost always will lead to charges of plagiarism. And so another unique aspect to this is that plagiarism is really the most heinous form of cheating that you can engage in at an American college and university. One of the reasons for this is that American institutions have things called honor codes. And I've written kind of a little paragraph here about what they are. To be kind of more succinct, what we're talking about are agreements that you will agree to when you begin college, that you will not cheat, that you will produce your own work, and that you will act honorably and honestly with everything you do at the university. Every university has this, and they treat them very seriously. Some universities, if you violate the honor code, you'll go in front of the judicial unit of the college and be sanctioned in some way. Other universities, it will be other students who will be trying the case, almost like it's a court type situation. It's very interesting. And it's actually very interesting to watch if you end up going to school in America. The thing that you want to be sure of is that you don't ever end up in front of one of these groups defending yourself. So, as I said before, citation is important because American universities value not only your original work, but they also value the work of those who came before you. By citing your work and practicing proper citation techniques, it allows you to understand what you've come up with on your own and what you're borrowing from others. This allows you to become an independent thinker, and it allows you to critically analyze information and ideas. Also, when using a citation system, this helps professors differentiate between your ideas and the ideas of others, and how those two different sources of ideas are kind of melded together within your work. A lot of times, this is what will end up determining your grade in a class. The better that you were able to, tie your ideas in with the ideas of other experts in the field, the higher grade you might end up earning. So some people have asked me when I've worked in other international locations, why is plagiarism wrong? Well, first of all, it's a form of fraud. Basically, what you're doing is stealing someone else's work and ideas and presenting them as your own. It makes you look smarter than you actually are. It makes you look like you're doing better work than you actually are. You should really strive to produce the best quality work that you personally can produce. Beyond that, you're also denying yourself a valuable learning experience. You're at college to learn, and you're not really going to be learning a whole lot if you're just presenting other people's work as your own. Also, what this does is it devalues the work of other students. If other students have worked very hard and completed an excellent assignment, and then you just went on the internet and copied a paper written by a distinguished professor, that paper will probably be better than the paper that your classmate has written, even though your classmate spent hours writing theirs and you spent 30 seconds cutting and pasting it. And then finally, one of the main ideals of American universities are to create a discourse between students and faculty and administration, and to create really independent thinkers. When you're plagiarizing, you're not thinking independently. You're not really thinking at all. So I've talked a little bit about citation and how to cite. So the first thing I have to get out of the way right now is there are several different systems of citation. There's MLA, which is something that you would probably see in English or history type classes. There's APA, which stands for American Psychological Association. But you won't just see this in psychology. You'll see this in education, and you might see this in other types of kind of human sciences. Turabian, again, this is kind of like MLA. You might see this in international relations, global affairs, things like that. So depending on the class you're taking, depending on the university you're at, you might see all of these. You might see just one. It really just depends. So, but don't get too nervous about this. Whatever class you're in, the professor will tell you what to use and how to use it. And like I said, every discipline has a different system. As someone who's in law, who is familiar with the law and went to law school and practiced law for a little while, I'm very familiar with Legal Blue Book, which is completely different than all these systems. So, they're all a little bit different, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to do fairly well. And then finally, if your professor decides that you're going to be using one system and your university chooses a system for you, make sure that you learn about it. There are numerous books. You can find them on Amazon.com. They have a great selection of books about all of these different styles. Each of these styles actually has its own website. If you just Google MLA, APA, Turabian, Legal Blue Book, you'll find everything you need about each style. And then every American university also has a large library staffed with many helpful librarians and a writing center. And one of the main things that the writing center does is help students who might have issues with plagiarism, academic honesty, and citation. So once you're in America and you're at that university, please go to the writing center. It's probably, at my university in Ohio, it's probably one of the best facilities we have for international students. It helps immensely. So you might be wondering, you found something on the internet, you want to turn it in. how could the professor possibly understand or find out that it's not yours? This is one of the things that's a little bit different than the European universities that I've been affiliated with in the past. In America, faculty members, professors, administrators use a lot of different avenues to detect plagiarism. One of those is an electronic avenue. There is software available where after students turn papers in, the papers are ran through the software, and the professor can actually look, and the software performs a match, and you can tell if the work is original or not. Most American universities use this. Professors will also enter suspicious phrases from your work into Google to see if they come up anywhere else. And then also, professors, they've been in the field a long time and they know a lot, they read a lot. They will just understand. They know that something isn't right. And once they feel that something isn't right, they usually work pretty hard to try and prove themselves that it is not right. And then finally, professors will perform a manual comparison between assignments. It's never okay to turn in the same assignment as a classmate. And professors, this is the easiest thing for professors to detect. If something is exactly the same between your assignment and a friend's assignment, it is automatically plagiarism. And then, another thing that I just wanted to touch on really quickly, it's not just about what you write and copying it. Like I said, it can be copying information from anywhere. For instance, if you have a class where you are given an assignment to visit a museum, you have to make certain that you actually visit the museum before you complete the assignment and complete the written portion. Believe me, I've had many students who are in this situation, and they do not, they complete an assignment, say that they visited a museum, and they actually didn't. And the professor will know. I mean, the professor understands the museum. He knows what's in the museum. So whatever you do in connection with your life at an American university, do it with honesty, do it with integrity. That's really the message of this presentation, to just be honest all the time. So unfortunately, when plagiarism is detected, we have to start talking about the different kinds of penalties. At my university and at most universities, the penalties can be broken down into different levels of severity. Generally speaking, if you're found to have plagiarized, you will fail the assignment. You just will. Even if you didn't do it on purpose, you will fail. If the professor thinks that you plagiarized on purpose, there's a very good chance you will probably fail the class. Now, if you are someone who has been caught and found guilty of plagiarizing 2 or 3 times, it's highly likely that you will be suspended from the university for anywhere from a semester to a year is generally how it works at my university. Finally, if you are a serial plagiarizer and continue to do it over and over and over again, you will be expelled. And what that means is you will be forced to leave and you can never come back. And this also means that it will become very difficult for you to enroll at another university. And that is because these types of sanctions and penalties are recorded in your student file, and they follow you for your entire academic career. On your academic transcript, it will say that you were convicted of plagiarism 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So in terms of transferring to another university, in terms of entering graduate school, especially law school or medical school, where honesty is a very big deal, it's going to be difficult. You don't want this as part of your academic file, believe me. So since we now understand that this is something that you don't really want to be convicted of, you don't want to be a part of it, how do you prevent it? So first of all, plagiarism isn't something that usually just happens. It's usually something that kind of manifests itself out of some type of a concrete reason. And usually this could be a high workload. You have a lot of work in all of your classes, and you don't feel like you would have time to do it all correctly. Deadlines for big assignments that fall on the same day. other people who may want to work together, even though the assignment is supposed to be individual. These are all some of the ways that you might be introduced to the thought of plagiarizing. If you're feeling this way and you feel like you might need to do this, you should seek help. American universities have large infrastructures designed to help and assist students in different ways. I'm an academic advisor, and I'm kind of the first line of defense in this type of thing at my university. A lot of students will come and talk to me about this and tell me that they're thinking about plagiarizing, they're thinking about doing different types of things that may not be honest. And I just explain to them why they shouldn't do it and what they could do instead. Usually when I speak to a student like this, I will send them to their faculty member to talk about it, to the honor council, to the university ombudsperson. And the ombudsperson, most American universities have something like this, and this is somebody who works with students and faculty to kind of bridge the gap between the two and allow the students and the faculty to talk amongst one another and kind of puts them on equal ground. So, usually what you'll do if you're in America is talk to your academic advisor, and then you'll end up with one of these three people: faculty, the ombudsperson, or someone from the honor council. And working with these different offices, you should be able to find a good alternative, to the thoughts that you're having of plagiarizing. You may be able to get the deadline of the assignment extended. The assignment may be able to be changed or augmented. So never just plagiarize. Always use the different services that are available at your university, that could stave off this type of action. So besides me just sitting here talking at you about plagiarism, there are a couple really great websites that I've used for this presentation and for some of my work outside of these auspices to try and impart some plagiarism knowledge into students. So the Indiana University website on plagiarism is great. This is located in your useful web link box on the right-hand side of the screen. And it's an excellent website that gives tons of resources. It talks about all the citation styles, and it really does a good job of explaining what is and what is not plagiarism. The other thing is a little bit more fun. It's on the Lycoming College website, and it's the plagiarism game. And at my university, we try to get our first-year students to all complete this game, and it really does an excellent job of making you understand what plagiarism is, what it isn't, and kind of working through different examples. And so one of the things you really want to do if you're really, truly trying to understand academic honesty and plagiarism is to work through examples. So that's what I have right here. I just have a little exercise that's going to be designed to show you what is and what is not plagiarism. So basically we have this text here, and I'm not going to read it all, but pay particular attention to the part that's highlighted in red. The first technology was the primitive modes of communication used by prehistoric people before the development of spoken language. Pay attention to this. So here we have an example of a student using this phrase within their writing. It's written exactly how it was in the original text. It's presented as the student's own work, but it is not cited and no credit is given to the original author. There are no quotation marks. There is nothing. This example is definitely plagiarism. The student copied word for word this text from the original source. No credit was given to the author, no quotation marks, and the student didn't even provide a reference. If you do this at an American university and the professor finds out, you will fail a class if it's the first time you've done something like this. It seems like a small mistake, but it's treated very harshly. So in this exercise, this is the corrected version. As you see here, there's a citation on the first level where the student paraphrases information from the initial passage. And then on the second level, where the actual quote is provided, there are quotation marks and another citation. And this is exactly what it should look like. And this would get you an A. This is A work. There's nothing wrong with this. It's perfect. The websites that I've mentioned provide many examples like this. This particular example, as I noted in the first slide, is from the Indiana University website. It has many examples like this. Please, use them and work with them. So, like I said, this is going to be a short presentation, and I'm right at the end here. So, thinking about what you should take away from this talk, my final thoughts are basically this. Here's some things that you should never do. Never copy and paste directly from the internet, ever. Never turn in the same work as a friend. Never paraphrase. And I haven't really explained what paraphrasing is. That's when you change the wording of a passage, but the idea and the meaning is exactly the same. Never do this without citing or referencing. And really, never be untruthful in any way. If you're never untruthful, you won't plagiarize, and you'll get through college very easily. But these actions that are listed here, these are all actions that are likely to put you in violation of a university's honor code. They are very likely to be caught by a professor or an administrator, and they are very likely to all lead to a failing grade, could lead to a suspension, and maybe worse if you've done it many times before.